Hi, my name is Jacob Benavente, and for today's persuasive speech, I'll be trying to persuade you all to limit the amount of screen time we use on a daily basis. Now, according to Horwath, who studies the amount of time we spend on our devices, says globally, people average 6 hours and 40 minutes per day on our devices. Now, it is important to understand how much time we use spending our computers, phones, consoles, TVs, and our devices all around. Because we have become so accustomed to our devices, it takes so much time away from our already limited one life. We are already undergoing a crisis of too much screen time without realizing it. As someone who has been on both sides of this ongoing battle, it is easy to forget how much we miss out on because we're so busy being on our phones, making it hard to live in the moment. Which is why today I'll argue spending too much time on our devices will only keep ourselves from accomplishing our goals and lessen the quality of life. Which is why I also provide solutions to this problem. Now, today I have 3 points I will address, which is the probable causes of why we're so attached to our devices and certain apps, as well as why social media apps and other networks can take so much attention away from our time, and also steps we can take to decrease the amount of time and hours we consume on our devices. In order to solve this problem, we must first begin by acknowledging it. We can do this by realizing how much time we spend on our screens, which is on average 6 hours and 40 minutes, like I stated earlier, on a daily basis. Which means out of 365 days a year, you multiply this by the 6 hours and 40 minutes, equals to 2,336 hours a year, which is 97 days of our 365 days a year. If that isn't concerning, which is a fourth of our year, nearly, of our devices, that should be concerning. Now, another study by DeCores found out that adults who have watched TV for 5 hours or more have had an increase in developing brain-related diseases like dementia, strokes, or Parkinson's disease. This study was taken over a 12-year span, which concluded that if you spend more than 5 hours a day watching television or even on your devices, that can cause brain-related diseases, such as strokes, Parkinson's disease, and dementia. Now, which is an hour and a half less than our global average. Now, expert Hoffman says whether at night or during the day, or long periods of time on our devices have been associated with higher rates of depression, anxiety, and other mental health disorders in adults and developing children. Which is why apps and social media outlets are keeping you glued to your screens, as they're not obviously planning on doing this on purpose, but it's just so addictive and keeps you scrolling for hours on a time that it leads to these issues. Now, according to medical chief Kent Hoffman, says 59.6% of Americans are addicted to their devices. Now, if more than half of adults are glued to their phones and spend over 6 hours and 40 minutes on their devices, multiply this on a daily basis for a year, there's 97 days of the 365 days a year stuck on their phones. Now, many people don't realize how much of a crisis this is in our society because people fail to realize it, and it becomes a bigger problem than many people want to say out loud. Although it may seem harmless at first, in reality it has the ability to take so much away from us because of our limited time. As I mentioned before, many people globally, nationally, are stuck on their devices, and many ask why. Well, the answer is not so simple, but many people can argue and agree that social media networks and apps have so much power, as apps like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook take so much of our time because we just continue to scroll and like posts and see what other people are doing or funny content out there, which is releases dopamine from our mind, making it seem like everything's alright, when in reality we're all kind of turning away from it on these apps. Child psychologist Kate Eshelman says, social media makes it so easy to compare yourself to others. Most people on social media put what they want you to see. And by using social media, all of us have the ability to endless information anytime we want, which makes it difficult for kids. Now, this comparison can cause negative impacts on people because it gives a false sense of reality and never shows any struggles we face. Now, multiple studies have found a strong link between heavy social media usage and a link to anxiety, loneliness, depression, and even suicidal thoughts. The negative effects of long periods spent on social media include bullying, fear of missing out, unrealistic expectations, low self-confidence, and lower attention span, just to name a few. Now, according to Rachel Goodman, who says social media has a tendency to reinforce use. People quickly become hooked on checking their statuses, likes, comments, and other people's posts and stories. Using social media sometimes activates the brain's reward center by releasing dopamine, known as the feel-good chemical. The dopamine release, in turn, keeps people coming back because they want to repeat these feel-good feelings. Today, I have discussed the amount of screen use and how it keeps you hooked, and how to help this issue, as well as how it is important to understand the negative effects. The University of Columbia has studied and concluded young people's brains are still developing as individuals, and so are their identities, which is what they see on social media can define what is to be expected in ways that are not accurate, and can destroy identity development as well as confidence as their brains are continuing to develop. So now, as these young brains continue to develop, there are many opportunities, and throughout each and every day that students and young adolescents are spending so much time on social media. As you can see in these photos, there are even young adults who are looking at their screens stressed out, as screens have been known to give people headaches, as well as looking at screens is also bad for your eyes. And many other symptoms are lack of attention or focus, too much tantrums, meaning a cause of outbursts of anger, because they're not getting their ways in reality as they are on the screens, which is everything is quick to their fingertips, everything, all the information. And there's also lack of sleep, especially if you're on your phone before you go to bed, and even antisocial problems. So the first step to help limit screen time is to acknowledge how much time we spend, as well as we could also limit screen time by social media usage. We can do this by putting our phones on Do Not Disturb in our settings, as well as even deleting social media apps. Go playing a sport, go outside, and hanging out with your friends is also a good way to do this. Today, I have argued that too much screen time has too many negative effects, and why we should limit our screen time, and ways how we can do this in terms of deleting social media apps, going outside with our friends, spending time with our friends, talking to our friends, face-to-face communication, as well as deleting social media apps and Do Not Disturb on our settings. So, you are the master of the moments you spend. Don't let social media and your devices take them away from you. Thank you.